Hello students. Today we are going to find the inverse of a matrix by the method of elementary transformation. Do you remember what is the inverse of a matrix? If A and B are matrices such that AB is equal to BA is equal to I, an identity matrix, then we say that B is the inverse of A or A is the inverse of B. We can also write it this way, that is A into A inverse is equal to I, or A inverse into A is equal to I. This we have seen in the last lecture. Now, how to find the inverse of a matrix by elementary transformations? There are two definite steps for finding the inverse. If we follow these steps, we will never go wrong in the process. The first step, this is a compulsory step, find whether the matrix is invertible. Yes, in the last lecture, we had done some sums to find out whether matrices are invertible or not. That is, we have to find out whether mod A comes out to be 0 or not. So if A is a matrix, find the determinant of A, that is mod A. If mod A is 0, then we do not proceed any further because the matrix is non-invertible. But if mod A is not equal to 0, then we can proceed further to the next step. Now what is the next step? Next step can be done in two ways. Suppose we write over here A into A inverse is equal to I. Note here that A is known to us, it is a given matrix. I is also known to us, it is a unit matrix of the same order as A. Thus, the only unknown here is A inverse. Now what do we do over here? By suitable row transformations, we convert A into I. Now we have learnt about row transformations, isn't it? We know that there are three steps by which we can transform a row. We can either interchange one row with the other, or we can multiply a row with a scalar number, or we can add a scalar multiple of some other row to this particular row. Remember, when we write A into A inverse is equal to I, it is called as post multiplying of A with A inverse. When we write it this way, we can only do row transformation. We cannot do column transformations at all. So, we convert A into I by row transformation. The same row transformations are also applied on the RHS to the matrix I. So that as A gets converted into I, the identity matrix, that is I, gets converted into a separate matrix, that is B. Thus we have I into A inverse is equal to B. Now remember, an identity matrix is same like the number 1. Now during multiplication, normal multiplication, 1 into any number gives us the same number. Same way, when we multiply a matrix with I, we get the same matrix again. Thus we have I into A inverse is actually A inverse. So we have A inverse is equal to B. Step 2 can also be done in this way. That is, here we write A inverse A is equal to I. What have we done over here? We have pre-multiplied A with A inverse. Suppose we do this step, then we can only transform A and I by column transformation. Remember this. So whenever we write A inverse A is equal to I, we can only do column transformation. We cannot do row transformation. Now column transformation, the same three steps can be done for columns as well. That is, interchange of one column with the other, multiplying the scalar number to some column, or adding the scalar multiple of one column to another column. The same three steps can be done for columns as we did for rows. Thus by column transformation, A is converted into I, and at the same time correspondingly I is converted into another matrix, say B. Thus we get A inverse I is equal to B. A inverse I is the same as A inverse. So we have A inverse is equal to B. So in this way, the inverse of a matrix can be found out by using elementary transformations. Now, there are certain working rules over here. If you follow these rules, what will happen is that mistakes will be very less. You will be able to get the correct answer without much effort. Suppose we have A into A inverse is equal to I. What can we do over here? Yes, we can only do row transformation. Consider A as a 2 by 2 matrix where the elements are A11, A12, A21 and A22. Suppose we have to convert A into I. Again a 2 by 2 matrix, 1, 0 and 0, 1 are the rows of I. What is done is that first the element A11 is converted into 1 by suitable row transformation. We concentrate on that particular element and we convert it into 1. Then in the next step, we convert the element A21 into 0. Then after that, we convert the element A22 into 1. And then lastly, we convert A12 into 0. This is the working rule for a 2 by 2 matrix if you want to transform it by row transformation. Similarly, if we have a 3 by 3 matrix and we want to convert it into an identity matrix, we start with A11, convert A11 into 1. Then we start with A21, convert it into 0. Then we go to A31. Then we come to A22 and convert it into 1. And then either one, A12 or A32, either one can be converted into 0. In short, both of them have to be converted into 0 stepwise. Then we go to A33, convert that element into 1. And then A13 or A23, either of them, one after the other, are converted into 0. Remember, while converting the elements into ones or zeros, we have to see to it that whatever has been converted already does not change. We have to take care for doing that. Sounds a bit difficult, isn't it? Well, with a bit of practice, you'll be masters at doing it. Let us find the inverse of a 2 by 2 matrix by elementary transformations. Exercise. These sums have been taken from the science and the commerce textbook. Same sums have been given in both the textbooks. Find the inverse of the following matrices if they exist. The first case, they have given us a 2 by 2 matrix. Suppose A is the given matrix. First we find the determinant of A. We find that the answer for the determinant comes out as -3, which is not equal to 0. Thus we write A inverse exists. Now we write let A into A inverse is equal to I. So that we can convert A into I by row transformation. Similarly, I will also be transformed here. Thus, in A, the rows are 1, 2, 2 and -1. On the RHS, I is a corresponding unit matrix. So first step, we have to convert 2 into 0. Because already we know that in the position A11, we have 1 there. So no transformation has to be applied over there. So 2 has to be converted into 0. Now when we convert 2 into 0, what happens is the entire second row on the LHS and the RHS gets transformed. So 2 can be converted into 0 by doing this step, that is 2R2 minus 2R1. R2 minus 2R1 gives us this matrix on the LHS and the RHS, whereby as you can see, the second row of both the matrices has been transformed by the particular transformation. That is on the LHS, 2 minus 2 gave us 0 and -1 minus 2 into 2, that is -1 minus 4 gave us -5. Similarly, on the RHS, 0 minus 2 gives us -2 and 1 minus 0 gives us 1 itself. In the next step, -5 has to be converted into 1. Now here again what happens is that the entire second row of both the sides changes, gets transformed. So this is done by multiplying R2 with the reciprocal of -5, that is R2 into -1 upon 5. This gives us 0 and 1 as the second row elements on the LHS. On the RHS we are getting 2 by 5 and -1 by 5. There is nothing wrong in getting fractions in a matrix as long as the calculation is correct. Then in the next step, we have to convert 2 into 0 so that the first row of both LHS and RHS will get transformed. Now this can be done by doing R1 minus 2R2. Thus we get 0 in the corresponding place on the LHS. And on the RHS, 2 upon 5 minus 2 into, 1 minus 2 into 2 upon 5 gives us 1 upon 5. Similarly, 0 minus 2 into -1 upon 5 gives us 2 upon 5. Thus we get the corresponding matrix on the RHS. Now, as you can see on the LHS we have got an identity matrix I. So I into A inverse is equal to the same given matrix on the RHS. Thus we have A inverse as the given matrix. Thus the answer we get for the inverse of the matrix that is there. We can also take minus 1 upon 5 common outside the matrix, and the remaining matrix can be written as so. So you can write the answer in both the ways, either fractions inside the answer inside the matrix bracket, or you can remove the fraction common and then write the remaining elements within the matrix. Both of them carry same marks. Marks are not cut for not doing the last step there. One more sum, let us go through. As usual, mod A is found over here. Mod A comes out as 1. Okay, so we conclude that A inverse exists. Now, let me write the steps first. A into A inverse is equal to I. So, by row transformation, we are going to convert A. Okay, as you can see, the first step is to convert 2 into 1. We have to convert 2 as 1. This can be simply done by doing R1 plus R2. That is 2 minus 1 gives us 1. Correspondingly, minus 3 also changes. So, observe the first row carefully. So, 2 becomes 1 and R1 plus R2 applied to minus 3 gives us minus 3 plus 2, which is minus 1. On the RHS, correspondingly, 1 plus 0 is 1 itself and 0 plus 1 is 1. Next step, we want to convert minus 1 as 0. This can be done by doing R2 plus R1. That is minus 1 plus 1, which is 0. Observe the second row on both the sides. So minus 1 plus 1 gives us 0 and 2 minus 1 gives us 1. On the RHS, 0 plus 1, 1 and 1 plus 1, 2. In the next step, we want to convert. We see that in the next step, 1 is already there in the A to 2 position. So we only want to convert that minus 1 into 0. So we do R1 plus R2 in the next step. So thus we get, observe the first row. 1 plus 0, that is 1, and minus 1 plus 1, that is 0. RHS, 1 plus 1 gives us 2 and 1 plus 2 gives us 3. Hope you are understanding the steps. You can pause the video wherever and observe it once again carefully. Thus, we get the identity matrix on the LHS, and RHS, the identity matrix is converted into a new matrix. So we write A inverse is the given new matrix which we found out. Let us try column transformation for this particular matrix. As usual, we write A as the given matrix. So mod A comes out as the given mod, that is the answer comes out as 1. So A inverse exists, we are concluding. So we are going further. Now this time we are going to write A inverse A is equal to I. Remember, for column transformation, we pre-multiply A with A inverse. So we write the corresponding matrices on the LHS and the RHS. Now the first step is to convert 2 into 1 by doing column transformation. Remember students, we are doing column transformation. So the first column of both the matrices will change at the end of the transformation. Now 2 can be converted into 1 by doing 3C1 minus C2. That is 2 3s are 6 minus 5 gives us 1. Thus we do 3C1 minus C2, which gives us this matrix on the LHS and the RHS. Just observe that the first column is changed in both the matrices. The next step is to convert 5 into 0. Okay, so here this is done. So okay, but after converting 5 into 0, when we convert 5 into 0, what happens is the second column on both LHS and RHS is going to get transformed. So this can be done by doing C2 minus 5C1. That is 5 minus 5 gives us 0. The C2 minus 5C1. You can write in C actually. So as you can see here, the second column on the LHS and RHS has been transformed now. In the next step, we have to convert 3 as 1. So as a result, this will transform both the second column of LHS and RHS. 3 can be converted into 1 by multiplying by its reciprocal. That is 1 upon 3 into C2 we are doing now. Thus we get the second column changed in the next step. So we get 1, 0 and 0, 1. A inverse into 1, 0, 0, 1. That is the entity matrix. On the RHS also you can see that the second column has changed. Thus we get the answer, that is A inverse as 3, minus 5, minus 1 and 2. Now let me point out to you something. So when we do column transformation, remember that first we transform the first element into 1. Next, see, when we are doing row transformation, we have to go this way and convert this into 0. In column transformation, we come horizontally. That is, this is converted into 1 and then this into 0, this into 1 and again this is converted into 0. So this is the order of going in column transformation. From here, from left to right, right bottom and again come to left bottom. This is the order in which we go during column transformation. Okay, we go clockwise from here to here, here to here, here to here, and then that's it. I hope you are getting it, students. Next, this sum can be done as an assignment by you. These sums, there are 3 sums here actually. They can be tried out as assignment. You can either try row or column transformation, or you can practice both and see if you're getting the correct answer out. Then the next sum. If A is the given matrix and X is a 2 by 2 matrix such that AX is equal to I, then find X. So here AX is equal to I. Since this is given, we conclude that X is the inverse of A. We can write X as A inverse. So we get A into A inverse is equal to I. So by row transformation, we can convert A into I and correspondingly I becomes X. So here we write like so, as we have studied in the previous sums. First aim is to convert 3 into 0 because already 1 is there in the proper position. So 3 can be converted into 0 by doing R2 minus 3R1, which gives us 0 in the correct place there. And similarly, the second row changes on LHS and RHS. The next step, converting minus 2 into 1, that can be done by multiplying with the reciprocal of minus 2. Thus, we get the next step. Then in the next step, R1 minus 2R2 because we want 0 in the 1, 2th position. Thus, we do R1 minus 2R2, which gives us the correct matrix. So, we get I into A inverse is equal to RHS as a new matrix. A inverse is X. So, X comes out as the answer here. In the next sum, find matrix X such that AX is equal to B, where A and B both are 2 by 2 matrices. So by row transformation, A can be converted into I and correspondingly B is converted into a new matrix, say C. Thus we get X is equal to C here. Thus we start by writing AX is equal to B, only X is unknown. Okay, A and B are known. So correspondingly we write the matrices. Then we want to convert A into an identity matrix. Already the 1, 1th position has 1. So we want to convert minus 1 into 0. So as a result, R2 plus R1 gives us 0 in the corresponding position. Remember, RHS also the same transformation is applied. You are not going to forget what to do on the RHS. Then we want to convert phi as 1. So we multiply it by the reciprocal. Thus we get the answer. See that the R2, second row of both the matrices has changed. Then in the next step, R1 minus 2R2 will give us 0 in the corresponding position. That is in the 1, 2th position we want 0. We want to convert 2 into 0. So we do R1 minus 2R2. And thus we get the matrix X. This sum can be done as an assignment by you in your notebooks. Next we are going to find out the inverse of a 3 by 3 matrix by elementary transformations. In the exercise, this matrix we are going to try row transformation here. So A is the given matrix. We find mod A by finding the determinant of A. You already know how to find the determinant of order 3, how to solve it. So by solving it, we get the answer as minus 2. Thus we conclude that A inverse exists. So A into A inverse is equal to I. We write the corresponding matrices on the LHS and the RHS. Now we want to convert this 0 into 1 in the first case, in the first step here. Okay. Now this can be easily done by just interchanging R2 and R1. As you can observe, R2 has 1 in the corresponding position there. If we just interchange R2 and R1 like this, we get 1 in the proper position over there. Next, we want to convert the next element down the column. That is below 1, whatever element is there, we want to convert it into 0. But we observe that there is already 0 there. So we just go down below and convert 3 into 0. 3 has to be converted into 0 now by using suitable row transformations. Thus we do R3 getting converted into R3 minus 3R1. Hence we get 0 in the proper position. Now in the second row, second column, we need 1. Already we see that there is 1 there. So there is no need to apply any transformation there. So we proceed further and convert minus 5 into 0. This can be done by doing R3 plus 5R2. Thus the entire R3 changes on the LHS and the RHS. Thus we get over here 0 in the proper position. Observe that the R3 of both the sides has changed. This is compulsory, students. Then we want 0. 2 has to become 0 there. Now this can be done by doing R1 minus 2R2. And thus we get 0. On both LHS and RHS, the corresponding R1 has changed. Then we want to convert this 2 as 1. This can be done by multiplying the reciprocal with the reciprocal. So R3 into 1 upon 2. We get over here 1 in the correct position. The entire R3 changes because of the transformation. On the RHS, we are getting fractions. Then we want to convert 2 into 0, which is done by doing R2 minus 2R3, whereby R2 changes on LHS and RHS. Then minus 1 has to get converted into 0. This can be done by doing R1 plus R3. Thus, we get the correct matrix over here. So, A has been converted into I. Correspondingly, on the RHS, I has been converted into a new matrix. So, we can write that A inverse is equal to the given matrix there. The next step, next sum, let us try column transformation. So, we start by finding mod A. We find that mod A comes out as 1. So, we conclude that A inverse exists. Here, as usual for column, we write A inverse A is equal to I, or A inverse into the given matrix is equal to identity matrix. We want to convert 2 into 1. We want to transform 2 such that it becomes 1 by column transformation. Remember students, column transformation. Thus we write C1 as C1 plus C3. So C1 changes on the LHS and the RHS. Thus we get the matrices on the LHS and RHS. Next we observe that 0 is already present in the proper position. So we proceed to change minus 1 into 0 by doing C3 plus C1. C3 getting changed into C3 plus C1. Thus we get 0 in the proper position. Remember, C3 on both LHS and RHS got transformed. Next step, to get 1, already 1 is there in the proper position. So we proceed further by converting, say, this 5 into 0 by doing C1 minus C3. So C1 minus C3 gives us 5 minus 5 as 0. Thus we get 0 in the proper place. So C1 on both the sides changes. Then we want to get 5. We want to convert 5 as 0. This we do by doing C3 minus 5 C2. So we get 0 in the proper position. On the RHS also the changes are there. Observe the changes which are there in C3, in C3, sorry. Then 1 is already there in the proper place here. So we proceed by converting minus 3 into 0 by doing C1 plus 3 C3. Thus we get 0 in the proper place. Then in the next step, 1 has to get converted into 0. So this can be done by doing C2 minus C3, where we get the proper matrix. Thus we get the answer, that is A inverse into I is equal to the given matrix. Thus we get A inverse as the answer over here. Next sum can be done as an assignment. Next two sums, in fact, you can do one by row transformation, other by column transformation, so that you get enough practice of both actually. This question is an important one from the examination point of view. If A is a given 3 by 3 matrix, as you can see over here, the diagonal elements in A are X, Y and Z. It's a diagonal matrix and they have given that A is non-singular. We have to find out A inverse by doing row transformation. And then we also have to find the inverse of another diagonal matrix having 2, 1 and minus 1 as the diagonal elements. So A is the given matrix. It is a non-singular matrix. That means we can conclude that A inverse exists. Then we write as usual. A into A inverse is equal to I. The first step here, converting x into 1. We want to transform x as 1. This is done by doing R1 into 1 upon x, multiplying by the reciprocal of x. Thus, we have converted x into 1 on the LHS. On the RHS, the 1 has been converted into 1 upon x, as you can see. The next two steps can be done as a single step actually. That is, R2 can be converted by R2 into 1 upon y, so that y becomes 1 on the LHS. Similarly, R3 into 1 upon z converts z on the LHS into 1. Thus, we get A inverse as a diagonal matrix containing 1 upon x, 1 upon y and 1 upon z as a diagonal elements. Now, let B be the given matrix, second matrix that they have given us. Again, it's a diagonal matrix containing 2, 1 and minus 1 as the diagonal elements. Comparing A and B, say A was this element, this matrix containing x, y and z as a diagonal. We can say that x is 2, y is 1 and z is minus 1. Now in A inverse, observe A inverse matrix, 1 upon x, 1 upon y and 1 upon z were the diagonal elements. Similarly, B inverse will contain 1 upon 2, 1 upon 1 that is 1 and minus 1 upon 1 that is minus 1 as the diagonal elements. Thus we get B inverse by comparing A and B. The next two sums can be done as assignments by you. So, although this was a long lecture, the concept is very important. Keep practicing. In the next lecture, we'll deal with one more method for finding the inverse, which is known as the adjoint method. Bye, students.